Did you raise money, or has it been
No,
bootstrapped?
it's been bootstrapped.
It's so cool to it ties back to the working capital point that we were making earlier, but like, the inherent feature of the business model you built is that you're kind of being just funded by customers along the way. So, most venture backed business models, they're like gross margin negative from the get go, or you're having to, fund a bunch of upfront technology build out. And it's, you need a tremendous amount of money up front in order to build that so that you can hopefully get to the point where like you're kind of at the the benefit point of like the marginal cost of zero of the deployment of the technology. But the reality
Mhm.
is then you have to raise a bunch of VC capital and dilute yourself in order to get there. With your business model, negative working capital, you're like, pulling in cash and you don't have to pay for a while. You're able to actually fund all of that growth and all of the growth initiatives with customer money. And so like you don't really need to raise money along the way, and you can maintain that ownership. So it's a pretty cool it's a cool thing to see how it actually played out and flowed that way.
Yeah, I can't say it was that I'm not smart about it. I think more with raising money, we never really had a good use for it because we did have
Mm,
capital and we were profitable from day one. And I think more businesses can be. I don't think we're unique in that. I
yeah.
think people get deceived. I think the other thing that's interesting is the advantage we have by we've talked about going public. Like our revenues are in the very high eight figures, and I don't know. I just don't want to be at the mercy of other people. I like being at the mercy of our customers. Like if they like us and we like them and we try to do our best, they buy and give us money and we can live our lives and hopefully they benefit. And the partners we promote get a bunch of money for us to promote their stuff. I like the idea that and not having it is good to have adult supervision. Like we have a board. Um, they can't fire me, which is good and bad. But I think having a board of advisors in general, like I'm seeing one of them tomorrow because I'm having a bunch of issues is critical. Is in the personal life, is I have a council of wise men, is what I call it, but also in your professional life.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you bring that up, right? That like, not everyone needs to raise money, and there's a lot of businesses that could be profitable from the get go. I just think
Mhm.
that there's been this. I mean, it's probably just a relic of the fact that we've been in this raging 10-year bull market where like money was free and you could go raise at $1 billion after a year of existing. And I think in general, people have created this storyline that they're going to follow as entrepreneurs. And it's like, here's what I'm supposed to do, quote unquote. And what I'm supposed to do as an ambitious founder is I'm supposed to start this business. I'm supposed to raise money from Andreessen Horowitz at this valuation. And then I'm supposed to be a unicorn by a year from now and get my Forbes article written about me. Then I'm supposed to go public. And it's like, okay, but take a step back, zoom out. And as you said, I mean, and Greg would definitely agree with this. It's like, why? Do you actually want to do that? Is that going to make you happy? Are you going to be incrementally happier from going and running a public company? And like in your case, what does that entail running a public company? It's like now I have to get on quarterly, earnings calls with a bunch of analysts and have a bunch of people
Yeah.
grilling me and have news articles written about me every time I do something. There's just a bunch of headaches that come with the traditional path that everyone thinks they're supposed to follow. And so I think like one of the great things that hopefully comes out of this, bear market if we're in it, is that people actually reassess and take a much more first principles approach to thinking about what they really want to do when it comes to building companies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would encourage anyone just to get started. Like, especially if you have a day job. Like, I was talking with a buddy of mine named Sam from Financial Samurai, and it was like, if you have a day job, number one, kiss your boss's ass a lot right now. A
It's a good
lot.
time to kiss ass.
It's a fucking great time to build your network because when people are looking to cut costs, they're like, well, who's showing up or who's calling it in, right? And the people showing up generally will have a bit higher chance, and then also build the network right there as well for those times.
I think we're going to see a lot of profitable products being created right now just because all that VC money is drying up. And, I think it's just going to, we're going to see over the next 18 months just some profitable businesses come out. Like, you remember Groupon? Like, Groupon was like a $30 billion company at its peak. Like, that came out of the great financial crisis. And I think we're gonna see a lot of businesses kind of like AppSumo where people are gonna want deals on one side and companies are gonna want customers on the other side. and entrepreneurs are not going to want to raise money, not because it's impossible to raise money, but just because it's like difficult and annoying right now to raise money. What do you
I
think?
felt like
See, is that true though? Because sometimes I'm like, if you're good looking, you're always gonna get hit on. Like I would say, I was on a date a few days ago, and she's like, "I have 6,000 guys to choose from," and I was like, "I'm one in 6,000." She's like, "You were one of the last ones." It's like that's fine, but it's I think if you're an Airtable or a Figma or a Notion, and you have a model that works, I still think you can raise like stupid easy. I think the challenge, and I think that's what you're saying, Sahil, is like if it's like, yeah, we're gonna have to do a lot of stuff and there's a lot of uncertainty, it's gonna probably be a lot more challenging experience.
I
I would
think
just
when you're
encourage
doing
people
zero
like
to
to not,
one, when you're doing 0 to 1, like pre-seed, seed, that's where it's going to be more difficult to raise. But yeah, once you
yeah,
have product market fit and you have something that's working, like there's always money.
Yeah, it's a flight to
dude.
quality at that point too. I mean, it's like all the same money is going to pour at the ones that are working and doing well. You hit on. I do want to, Greg. I want to talk Google Chrome extensions for sure. But before I do that, there were like three frameworks that Noah hit on in the context of his business building that I thought were awesome to reiterate for any entrepreneurs or builders listening. One was um, to go like just think about what industry is going to be growing a ton in the years ahead, and like that is a great place to go and build if you know that like for you software was going to be much bigger and you can go and build in front of that trend. That's a great place to start. The whole like must haves versus nice to haves framework that you dropped I thought was really interesting. I've always thought of it as like painkillers versus vitamins is the way I always
Totally,
like thinking about that, where you're just like vitamins are nice to have, they might make you feel okay and good. Painkillers, like, you need to position, if you're going to be selling well, you need to position what you're selling as a painkiller because people are way more willing to pay, and if you make it feel urgent. And then that final one was triple win businesses, which I loved. Like, try to create a business model that is a win-win-win, where you have like the company's winning, customers are winning, the partners are winning in it. And when you can do that, it becomes much more effective, and it's a much easier sell from the early days of it. So a bunch of stuff that you hit on that I thought was just gold.